Let's begin with the envoys. So what are the envoys? We have here, up in here, the envoys, and the envoys are merchants, colonists. These are the diplomats, which are going to work as spies as well, and the missionaries. The diplomats are used in your nation as envoys, and they will be sent to different countries. For example, let me show you here. For example, here, he's going to be sent, and we have different interactions here. Missionaries are the guys that are going to proselytize the religion of your nation, and you can find them over here. You can see religion. The merchants are used for two things. You can, these are the nodes. We're going to talk about them a little bit later. But the merchants can do two things. First of all, you can see that we have two merchants. One merchant is over here transferring trade power to Seville, and in Tunis they are transferring trade power again to Seville. You can see that there's if you can see here, there's a merchant over there. We have two of them, and this merchant is transferring trade to this node, and the other one is eventually in Safi. That's the one from Safi in Tunis, sending trade to this main node that we have here. Then the next one is the colonist. These guys are going to be used for two things. You can use them either to promote settlement growth within this button here, and to send them to other places to colonize. For example, empty land like this, as you can see, I can click it. This empty land, this belongs to no one. As you can see, it is called uncolonized land. If you go like this, is gray. It's colored gray. Income, expenses, stability, and loans. So for example, your economy here, all the income comes from taxation, from production, trade, and it is going to depend on several other things, like how much gold you can push out from different sources. And one source, of course, is here in La Mancha, and you're going to do that by increasing here the production of gold. Expenses are from advisors, which are all of these guys in your court that are going to be appearing here, and you can set them here. You have as well the state maintenance, which is every state has a maintenance because you have to pay for the structure of the state. Interest for every loan that you take, diplomatic expenses, and of course we have fort maintenance. Every fort that we possess, as you can see here, there's a fort level 2 here. If I zoom out, you're going to see these small symbols of forts. These small symbols of forts are fort maintenance, and you pay for those. These sliders means that you can control the expenses of these things: colonial maintenance, missionaries that you send to other places to proselytize, root out corruption, which is going to be grow in here, army maintenance, which is how much money do you pay to the army, and the fleet maintenance as well, because in EU4 you have fleets and armies as well. So the monarch is found in here in the court tab over here. When you click the actual symbol of your nation, I'm going to call it state, because in Europa Universalis we are basically we are not this guy, so not to be confused with Crusader Kings that you are actually the character. In here you are the state of whichever state you are. And here we have the court. This works as the actual rulers and people that inhabit your state structure. Ideas and national ideas. Each country possesses national ideas, which are solely from that particular country. and then you have different diplomatic, military, and administrative ideas. All of those things are color-coded green, blue, and red. This is the same for merchants, for the diplomats, and the missionaries. This doesn't mean that, for example, the missionaries, now that I think about it, the missionaries have something to do with military. No. These guys have something to do with the diplomacy. Well, yes. And these guys with administrative aspects could be, but it's not tied to that, now that I think about it. Okay, so for example, here we have different, these are the different ideas of this country, and these are the whole bunch of different ideas that you can pick from, and you can put 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 ideas here. This number is regarding the administrative technology amount of that you have in here. So for example, you have administrative technology number 3, and this means that you need 5 to have this one, 7, 10, 14, so on and so forth. Then we have religion, of course. In this time period, religion was a very important aspect of the states and societies. So here we have the tab of religion, which is going to show you different things about the religion. For example, the missionary strength. Missionary strength is going to be the actual velocity in which the missionaries are going to proselytize. And this is the reform desire, which is going to produce the reformation of the Catholic faith when this goes up. And then here you have the papal influence, which brings us to the papacy here, the Holy See, in which we are going to get a lot of buffs here by increasing the influence that we have with the Pope. Of course, this goes up depending, it has obviously a base value, and it is going to be modified by opinions and events and different stuff like that. There's a whole lot of different mechanics concerning this area. You have cardinals as well that are going to appear here. Right now we don't have because we are just beginning, but as the time goes on, the cardinals are going to populate with this small rectangle over here. Now, trade nodes. Trade nodes is very important. These are the trade nodes. As you can see, there are thousands of trade nodes. Trade nodes means this is the area. These are the areas that the countries are going to gather a trade revenue. So if you don't see the trade button here, you can zoom in the normal one, and you're going to see this this floating buoys in here, and these things are going to be the trade nodes itself. So you can click it here, and it's going to show you a lot of information. For example, here is the trade node of Sevilla, and you can see that the trade power in here is shared in between 49 for Castile and 35% for Portugal. These two are the most powerful in this trade node. So in here we have the merchants steering the trade. You can see this, we are currently steering trade towards Seville, because you see those lines, those arrows are showing us where's the trade going to be sent. But if you don't have the merchant here, you are basically not steering the trade. Obviously, some of the trade will reach the node, but you are not steering it to the actual node. Every single country, every single state has a trade node that is the base trade node. In this case, the Seville trade node, if you zoom out a little bit, you can see the name. This is the trade node that is going to be shared basically with Portugal and Castile. and this is the trade node where you can collect trade. In this case, we're not collecting because if you see here, you can see that we have nothing. If I click here, I will take these or this either from Tunis or from Safi, and this means that they are not going to be steering to me. However, collecting trade is only possible in your home node. And the other thing about trade is, of course, this thing called mercantilism. Mercantilism, as you increase the mercantilism, you increase the trade. But if you have colonies in the overseas regions, these guys are not going to like your mercantilism, and the more mercantilism you have, the more those colonial nations are going to be prone to rebel against you. Technologies, which are represented here within the three power aspects of Europa Universalis. We have administrative technologies that are going to increase administrative efficiency, which is going to be useful for you if you are a colonial nation and you have colonial subjects. Then you have development cost modifier, which is going to be reduced, and you're going to be able to develop your provinces by clicking here and clicking these buttons here by less cost. Then you have the production efficiency, which is going to increase as the time goes on, representing the advancements in the production technology that are going to occur in the early modern period that afterwards will lead to the industrial revolution. So this is here to represent that, and of course the administrative technology is going to increase the idea groups, the possibility of selecting different idea groups. Then you're going to have the possibility to get different types of buildings. You are going to be able, as you can see in the next, you're going to be able to build churches. How do you build them? You click here and you have slots for each settlement. So there's plenty things to do here, and this is the way you get them. You get churches, you get workshops, farm states, ramparts, courthouse, so on and so forth, up until you even get universities, cathedrals, furnaces, town halls, and counting houses, which is pretty interesting. Support rebels here. You are able to support rebels, this is telling us, and then you have at level 15 forced march, and this is going to increase the governing capacity. The other things that you can do with technology are, for example, increase the trade efficiency, which, as I mentioned before, is going to increase the amount of trade power that you have. Then you have the trade range. This means that you are going to be able to trade farther. So then you have the colonial range. So you're going to be able to get further into the world in terms of colonization. So you're going to be able to reach more provinces. You will have increasing maintenance for your navies, naval morale increase, improve in global settlement. So the ability for you to send settlers to other places is going to increase in the diplomatic technology area. Then you have the special so-called steel maps, study technology, slander merchants. This is for everything that has to do with diplomats becoming spies. And here we have as well the possibility to build marketplaces, coastal defense, docks, dry docks, stock exchange, and grand shipyards as the time goes on. And you're going to be able to increase the max promoted cultures with diplomatic technologies. With military technologies, you have the possibility to improve flanking range. You have military tactics improved and the combat width. Then you have land morale, which is very, very important for your battles. And then you have supply limit that is reflected over here. Supply limit is 24 up to this point, in this point in time, and you can increase that. That means how many regiments, which are each separated units or each separated sections of your armies, divided in 1,000 men per regiment. So that means that 20,000 are 20 regiments of 1,000 men each. This means that you have the possibility to place in Algarve 26k. So that means 26 regiments. Continuing with the buildings that you can get as time goes on in terms of the military, you got castles, barracks, regimental camps, training fields, star forts, increased in conscription centers and fortresses, which are evolution of the actual fortresses, tracé italien, and the star forts that are going to be very, very important in the military technologies of the era. Let's talk about rebels. There's one rebel here. Let me see if I can show you. There you go. This rebel here is representing rebellions in this area. Now you can see these guys are fighting. These guys are fighting. These are the Aragonese fighting with these peasant rebels. So these are the rebels. They are people that do not like your rule. You have different disasters over here in this tab, which is the stability and expansion. And here we have the mitigation options. You can handle them in here, and you have either accept demands, which will tell you what are their demands, boost stability, which will decrease the possibility for them to appear, or to do harsh treatment and stuff like that, but you will need military power to do that. So that is for mitigation. Now let's return to Castile, to Portugal, and I'm going to show you the government here. So here we have the government types. We have kingdoms. You have republics as well, such as this one. This is a republic. You have as well tribal. You have sultanates, which are pretty much kingdoms. You have tribal nations as well. This is a kingdom. We haven't seen here tribal nations. Perhaps here princedom khanates. This is a horde. And you have duchies. And for example, this one is an empire. This is a kingdom, so on and so forth. So you have monarchs, you have duchies if you are a republic, you have khans if you are a horde. So these are different types of governments that you're going to be able to use in Europa Universalis. The most common is the kingdom. So the kingdom actually has a king, and it has its court, and it has a lot of different stuff. War exhaustion is this thing here, and as you can see here, you can reduce war exhaustion by paying diplomatic power points, and the war exhaustion is going to increase the more you continue into a war, and that will represent the people becoming very desperate because of the war. So that is war exhaustion, and then you have overextension. The more you conquer, the more each province is going to have a percentage that you will be able to manage here. The more you conquer, the more you are going to have a penalty here that further is going to provoke rebellions and is going to provoke a lot of penalties and negative situations if you do not control it. You can mitigate it by increasing your administrative efficiency, which will actually be very effective if you want to deal, as I said at the beginning, with colonies. This was Fictis. See you in the next one.